Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. We welcome you, whatever time and wherever in the world you are listening. We are pleased you have found us. You are now listening to Inside the Bunghole, a podcast taking you on a journey through wine. Together, we will learn more about this wonderful elixir of life. So raise your glass to welcome your hosts and partners in wine, Pam and James. You are now inside the bunghole.
Welcome to another Inside the Bunghole. Today we're flipping the script a little bit. I got James here with me.
Hello.
I got Alman with me. And our special guest, Scotty from Breakthru Wines. He's on the distributor side of the spectrum.
He's a hustler. He hustles the wines. I don't know if you've ever been into a wine shop or a restaurant. There's always like someone in the back room. They're tasting things. This is where they get their stuff.
Their fairs.
And he's one of the hustlers out here.
And he's a top hustler. Yeah. Armand, talk to me about, you tell me, because you're the, he doesn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, of course he's not going to talk himself up, but I've heard from many people in his company that he was a top rep. And in my point of view, because I buy from him, he is on top of everything. He sees us once a week. He stops by, he gets straight to the point and on to the next, but very direct in what he does and very effective.
Where do you get your work ethics, do you think?
Well, being the middleman extraordinaire that I am, I would probably say it's a little bit of ingenuity, and you also have to kind of go out there as a commissioned person to get it done. So probably work ethics from my dad or mom, I would say, just to give them credit.
Kudos.
Got to do it, right?
Or your pocketbook.
So how did you get started in this, in going to wineries, holding their portfolio, coming out to restaurants?
And how does it work?
Yeah, how does it work? So we're going to shut up for a minute.
Yeah, in California, it's a 3-tier system. So between the producer and you have to have the distributor to sell it to the final person. So for Herman at Lafay, he'd be the final person. I'd be the person in the middle to get all those products to him, especially the products he needs. I got it working in restaurants. I first met Herman 20 years ago. I worked at Fleming's. I was a bartender with Richard, Herman's partner here.
Yeah.
Herman worked at Yard House, and I just fell in love with wine. I think I fell in love with wine first in college because I went to college in Santa Barbara. The wine country was just right there. And so that was always what I wanted to focus in. And then I got offered this job 18 years ago to do just that. At that time, it was called Wine Warehouse. Now it's Breakthru Beverage. And that's pretty much the origin story of my career, I guess.
So how do you find your wines? What do you, do they come to you? Do you go hustle them? The winemakers.
That's a good question. Well, lucky for me, I work for a bigger company that Wine Warehouse is 50 years in California as a distributor. They're one of the first. So when wine was getting popular in California in the 70s, they were one of the first people in California to carry it. They always would say that they carried every winery that you may have or have heard of in California at one point in their history. So at that level, they take care of that. Now, Breakthru at a higher level, they take care of that nationwide. So brands know their reputation. They could trust the fact that they've done well, and they talk to other suppliers about it, and they probably would be coming to them. And then they would have to vet it depending on what they want to build, and what they're looking for their future. So
you don't necessarily find a winery and go back to the company in the warehouse and go, hey, man, we should pick this up. It's really good. Or they're like, no, be quiet. It's not in our repertoire. Stop.
That would happen, and that can happen, but you would be connecting them with the vice president of something like that, and They would meet with, the tasting group or panel that then would go through it and see if it fits in their business plan. So I've seen that happen.
Okay.
I've seen wineries, even breweries, even some spirit companies come up that way.
Right. So how many are there that then go out and distribute?
For the company or with in general? I'm probably in Southern California now, because we've grown 200 salespeople. Wow. That'd be all of Southern California. Then there's NorCal too, but that's what I would guess.
So Breakthru is a bit Breakthru. If you get picked up by Breakthru, you're living the dream.
You're looking pretty good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, so out of all these brands that you carry of wines, and some you guys have brought on recently, and you guys have dropped some, and which one do you get behind the most? Which is your favorite people they own a winery, or what brand do you think is your favorite out of all the brands you guys carry?
That's a tough question, because there's so many. I like origin stories like mine, but with wineries, the farmer first mentality is the best for me. And there's some great families that we represent that have that farmer first. We struck gold. Everyone thought we were crazy. We bought all this land in the 70s and look at us now kind of story. And people like, Dry Creek in Sonoma, legacy wineries like Trefethen from Napa, people like that.
Mm-hmm.
You could even pick amazing brands that are big that we all know, like J. Lore, that are still family owned. And at a bigger scale, they sell lots of wines, millions of cases. But at a smaller scale, they're doing really cool things for their future too. So you can't really pick a favorite. It's not really fair.
Right.
It's like picking a favorite account.
Pick your favorite kid.
Yeah, it's like Ramon saying, "What's your favorite account?" I'm like, everyone's tied for first.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought I was
You're tied for first. You can't do it.
So does the story help you sell the wine to the restaurants? Like, is that why that's kind of your favorite angle? Is
Yeah, and the story is actually the fun part. There's hundreds of thousands of Chardonnays. If you come in and try and sell him a Chardonnay at $10 a bottle without a story, like, he's going to be, what the hell is this guy trying to give me? Get the fuck out of here, right?
Right.
But with the cool story behind it, there's more to it. And that's the fun part about wine. Not every alcoholic product has an origin story.
Right.
Coming in and trying to sell a crappy bottle of vodka, there's nothing to it but price. And you're just in some sort of price war with competition. I don't like that. That's not my repertoire, and that's not what I like to do. I'll do it if I have to, but...
So now, how are you treated when the winemaker, you get to meet them for the first time, and they know that you are hustling their wine? Like, for example, we had on our show Emberley.
which one of his wife?
Which one of your wife? So what is that like? You get to finally meet him, and he chats. He knows you're out there fighting for him, pushing it.
Yeah, I mean, if you use Eberly as an example, Gary's a special guy. The first time I ever met Gary, I met him. He came to a tasting in one of our general sales meetings and talked. But I met him at his house, sitting in his living room. He goes to his cellar. He pulls out a 1976 Paso Cab because it's my birth year. We drink it, and then we have dinner that he cooks, right? And then his wife makes dessert, and we stayed at his place for those 2 days. So meeting someone on that level is completely different. Like, you just fall in love with them immediately, and you want to sell them just because of that.
Because of that, yeah. Right. You can have a little, so be nice to the wine reps.
Yeah, sure. And then winemakers are like artists. There's some people that are way out there, right, and there's some artists with big egos.
Right.
And those are the ones you give them a chance. Maybe you don't invite them back next season, but you always got to give everybody a chance.
Well, listen, we should probably take a commercial break, but when I come back, I want to ask about turf wars in a way. Just there's other reps that come to restaurants like Armand, and they're selling other, just like what he's doing. How does it all work?
On a different level, though. Yeah. You've got there's, I'm sure, just an absolute, and Armand can talk to that.
Yeah.
So we'll get into that right after we come back. Thanks for listening to Inside the Bunghole.
If you want to know more about Inside the Bunghole, join us on all our social media platforms. You can get a revisit and view all the latest posts, giveaways, and information on this podcast. Simply search Inside the Bunghole on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. Or you can email us at insidethebunghole@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and visit our website at insidethebunghole.buzzsprout.com, where you can always find our latest podcast and past episodes. Cheers!
We're back. Thanks for sticking through and listening to our commercial messages.
And we are here with Scotty.
It's a Breakthru.
What is your last name?
My last name's Halterlein.
Halterlein.
Yeah.
Scotty Halterlein.
There you go.
Some Breakthru.
Doesn't get more German.
Breaking on through.
Mine's Prusing, my maiden name, so I got you almost on that one. So we were going to talk a little bit about the competition, and when you come in and there's Armand, popping corks with other people, do you feel violated?
And you only have so much in your budget to buy. You know what I mean? So,
but before he tells you the story,
one of the reasons a rep is good is because of the relationship they continue to build over the years, and that's what. So when I make a new wine list, I think of certain people I cannot leave out because I have such a good relationship and have treated me very well over the years that they are going to get the placements. And I mean, I was speaking for a lot of other restaurant owners, but what do you think?
Yeah, Herman's good like that. At least he'll give you the chance. They'll say, hey, Scott, we're looking for these 5 wines at these 5 price points. Give us your best shot. And at that point, you really have to kind of abandon whatever you think you want to sell, whatever the company's pushing you on selling, and just bring in your best shot. And that's how I always did it,
What do you feel like he needs?
Make him happy.
He needs.
Yeah, you kind of have to prioritize the customer in that case. And as far as competition goes, like I'm super happy for Herman and Masvino. Like I'm super stoked and proud of these guys for doing what they're doing. And I have so much wine to sell. Like, do I need to go after maybe his $10 or $12 placement? Yeah, I have those wines and I have those price points. But in the grand scheme of things, I wouldn't do that because it's really, I want them to have a place and there's a place for everybody. The one thing I do not like, especially in the desert, is I'm here year round selling wine. And these people that come out from out of town, I call them ambulance chasers. They come out only in the season. They come out with all those wines and, new buyers will fall in love with them. And I'm like, hey, that's cool. It's the new chick in town you never met before. Go have your fun. Go play. When they're gone and they don't call you for 6 months because summer hits, I know who you will be calling. I'll be here waiting, Those are the only people that kind of bother me. People that stick out year round and they really give it their best shot and they try really hard. They deserve the respect to be meeting with him and selling what he wants to sell. I should say one other thing that bothers me is when you're in line and someone tries to cut in front of you, or if you're talking to a buyer and the person cuts in front and tries to take over the conversation and you're actually trying to sell something, I will shut that person down ASAP.
Oh, you're talking like 2 buyers, 2 of you at the same time.
Yeah.
And it happens all the time.
Oh, man.
Like somebody tries to cut and says, hey, but I only got 10 minutes. Do you mind if I go in front of you? And I tell them, nah. No, this guy made an appointment.
Yeah. Beer guys will do it. I've even had a lady selling cheese cut me off. I'm like, what are you even doing here? Come on, like wait your turn, right? But yeah, there's a place for everybody. And I mean, you look at this wall, right? If you ever been to Lafayette, come check it out. Look at the opportunity that's here. There's something here for everybody, and there's a lot of good people, and they all deserve a little piece of it.
Right. So, and different price points.
Yeah.
And your company reps all over the joint as far as price point. You got some lower end, but and what is when you are trying to make Herman happy? Like, what are you thinking as far as how do I get a bigger piece of his action, or
Yeah, well, as we said, we've gotten to know each other really well over the course of 20 odd years.
Yeah.
And Richard, I worked with, so I even know what he likes to drink, right? And so I focus on their needs first and what I know that they'll like, but then there's also business needs too. So there's price points to fill. And, like if he said, I need a $16 Chardonnay, I know the 4 or 5 that are probably the best options that taste the best anyways. And then you can narrow it down for him. So with a little bit of help, you could kind of make, put your best foot forward, really. So they're good like that.
But also, like and one of the things that makes a rep good, it's also bringing new, exciting things to the table.
Right.
And so they, some reps do that, and he's one of them. I mean, that are always trying to bring you something you've never seen before.
So when he comes in the door, you're happy to see him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And now, being a restaurateur, are there people that walk in the door that you're like, I have to buy this bottle of wine?
Yes, but you usually don't because
you can only sway with a good story.
Yeah.
Back to the story.
No, it's just there's guys that you kind of have to buy from. Like I'm not gonna name the companies, but the biggest company out there, they kind of force you because they have all the main labels or whatever. But and then there's people that you really want to just buy from and have a conversation with,
And he's got your best interests
absolutely
in mind.
Have you ever overbought? Well, oh man, I went nuts this month. I got some stuff this out.
Oh yeah, it happens all the time. I mean, when we first opened this place, you would get reps who would kind of like, they knew we were new and then we were just buying all this stuff, and so they would always come in. They would come in all the time and just we taste the wine and we'd probably get a little buzz and then start buying.
Right.
So that was their strategy, and then now
kid in the candy store.
After 7 years of being here, we're more selective.
Yes.
And don't drink when we're more buying wine because it's important to get your head on straight. But I'm sure like there's certain people that are like, oh, I'm gonna go there and we're gonna get strong.
Well, yeah, it's the trick, right? You hold the pen, like, tell me how to sell this pen, and I'll be like, do you want to buy a pen? And if you said no, I'd be like, do you want to buy a pen? I'm going to go down the line until someone says yes, and then I'm going to sell them that pen. Right. So that's kind of, you always want to go, I'm going to buy a pen
just to get rid of it.
Yeah. So, hey, whatever works. You got to find the person that actually wants to buy it first.
Right. Right. Yeah. So, go ahead.
This is a trick question for you. When are you going to pick up Masvina?
Wouldn't that be great?
It's not up to him. It'd be up.
Well, the one thing about using a distributor that sometimes wineries don't like is you have to sell it to us at a reduced price.
Yeah.
Because now we're taking control of it and we have to make our profit. Right. So sometimes it just doesn't work out. It depends how big a brand gets.
Yeah.
Yeah. A brand could outgrow itself and then you really need help.
It's business. It's business.
Yeah. Yep.
It's business. Don't take it personal.
Yeah, not all people want to sell their wine for a cheaper price. And sometimes it's an ego thing. Like, my wine's worth more than that. Well, this is how you have to sell to us to make the money.
So, yeah, if you want to hit a big audience.
And what is that percentage, if you don't mind me asking? Do you even know?
It depends, but it's, it's much like a retailer would. It's like a 20 to 30 point markup. And it just depends on what it is at the end of the day. So it's all part of the equation. So some people don't like the 3-tiered system because of that. There's a lot of, there's normal people, wineries, there's even, the government sometimes doesn't like it either.
Why are there some wine clubs that can't sell in different states? I don't know if that's even...
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Alcohol is managed by the federal government, but it's like all states have individual rights. So they just have some archaic, liquor laws from Prohibition in some cases. Even counties might have Prohibition archaic laws where they just don't allow it. And then that's just the way it goes, Sometimes it's the state and the government that wants to control it, and they don't allow it because they want to get every piece of the pie because there's a lot of money at stake too. So, yeah.
Now, what is your schedule like? There's an average day in a week.
Everyone's schedule is different. Yeah. When I first started, I wasn't married. I didn't have kids. It was more of a lifestyle, right? I had a lot more fun. I'd say a lot later, drink more than I should, which is one thing you have to be careful with in this industry. Right. But now I have a family. I like to wake up early. I'll do night events during the season, but I'm like a 5:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. kind of guy.
9 events, meaning stopping by 9 different places in a day?
Sure. And then events at night in the season at country clubs, wine dinners and all that. And you get a reprieve in the summer from it. So maybe in the summer I'll work a few less hours here and there to make up.
So it's not just an event. It's also just, you're just before the restaurant opens or the place opens.
Sure. Just,
and
9 of those a day.
Yeah, even more. I could hit 15 accounts in a day if I time it right. So.
And I was a rep at one point, and going to even 5 places a day takes a lot of effort.
It does.
You have to drive, get out of your car, go talk to them, and then it's you get a lot of your energy sucked out of you every time you see a customer. Sure. So to see 9 people, that's like running a marathon every day.
Well, but you nailed it, Erman, when you said he's succinct, he's to the point, he doesn't spin my wheels, he doesn't waste my time.
That does help.
Yeah. It helps everybody.
Yeah. And then what do? You go home and then you have to check off the boxes and order the Girl Scout cookies and the wine to show up? Or how does that part work?
One of my favorite things is ordering things because I'm a commissioned sales rep. So usually I do it in the course of my day. And back in the day, it was tough. You had to call it in or dial it in and press numbers
Page
on
it
your
in.
phone.
Oh.
Page it in. Before that, they give you a roll of quarters and you had to call it in, right, on a payphone because you're out in the field and you didn't have a cell phone, right? So you couldn't go home. You wouldn't go home and make the call and go back
You're
out.
dating yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, though, it's amazing. Everything's tied in. It's we're on SAP. It's all integrated nationwide and it's all live. The only thing that could ever give you trouble is if the server goes down because it's basically on Wi-Fi, so everything's updating all the time. But yeah, it's great. It's super easy now. Yeah, you could once you get good at ordering, you can pump out a quick order in less than a minute. Yeah.
Well, we should go on our break. On that note,
We'll go on a break.
and come back.
All righty.
Alrighty.
We'll figure out a little bit more about what's going on in the distribution side of things.
Yep. We'll be right back.
If you want to know more about Inside the Bunghole, join us on all our social media platforms. You can get a revisit and view all the latest posts, giveaways, and information on this podcast. Simply search Inside the Bunghole on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. Or you can email us at insidethebunghole@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and visit our website at insidethebunghole.buzzsprout.com, where you can always find our latest podcast and past episodes. Cheers!
Okay, we're going to finish our conversation here with Scotty over at Breakthru.
Breakthru.
How does one become a liquor rep or a wine rep, if you will?
I was having a bad week at Fleming's, and my boss was kind of a dick anyways. If he's listening, I won't say your name, Mark. And I just told my rep for Wine Warehouse, I'm like, man, he told me about a job like months ago, and I'm like, man, I'm having the worst. And I said no, and I'm like, I'm having the worst week. Is that job still available? And he's like, yeah. The next day they came in, they told me the spiel. I tried to see if my boss would counter. He didn't. He talked about himself for 15 minutes. I took the job, and boom, that was 18 years ago, basically.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the real way could be a lot harder. I got pretty lucky, I'll have to say. So I count my blessings.
And what's your favorite part of the job?
It's the people, I came in to taste with him and I met you guys, right?
Right.
That was hilarious. We were having a great conversation, making fun of all kinds of things, including clowns.
How lucky you were.
It was. So I always like to say I'm an introvert.
She hooked up with a clown.
Yeah.
Obviously, that's where my daughter came from.
Yeah. I always like to say I'm like an introvert with an extrovert addiction. So like going out and meeting the people is the fun part. Maybe back in the day, whining and dining and all that stuff was fun too. And that's still fun, but I've had my fair share of it. So now it's more of just the people part of it, helping people, meeting people. That's the best really. So
I was going to ask, here in the desert, when the climate changes, do you find you buy less cabs and more rosés?
Well, in the desert, it slows down, so you buy less of everything.
Less of it.
So he's going to have to dig a little bit deeper to get a little bit of sales and get creative in there.
It's a lot better than it used to be. But yeah, I mean, to put it in comparison for me, March is the busiest month, July is the worst month, and there's a 66% dip between the two in sales. Right. I mean, that's huge, right?
And what is your boundary? Like, where do you sell at?
I'm East Valley, so I'm Bob Hope, pushed in south all the way to Jefferson. So I don't really go into Indio anymore.
Just in this area?
In this area.
I thought maybe you were driving into LA and Burbank.
Probably for meetings.
Yeah, for meetings. But in this area, for our company, there's 6 or 7 people now.
I did not.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So they hired a plumber
Yeah.
to be a sales rep.
They have pipes.
Well, no, his last name's Plumber.
Oh, plumber.
I mean, good inside joke if Mark's listening.
He's full of shit, too.
So there's that many that work for
Breakthru.
Breakthru, yeah. There's more. The old company Wine Warehouse had less. Breakthru's a little bigger with deeper pockets, with big aspirations. So yeah, that they built it out to have more.
Is Breakthru the largest in California?
No, the largest in California, it probably, ranking would be Southern Glacier Wine and Spirits, RNDC, which is Republic, and then Wine Warehouse, which is us now, Breakthru. And then nationwide, Southern Glacier would be the biggest, but maybe tied for second would be Breakthru and RNDC. But Southern Glacier Wine and Spirits is the biggest.
So when you see some of your cohorts that are hustling and they're dragging their backpack full of wine around, do you sit there and go, oh God, thank God I didn't have to, because they're busting their umps.
Yeah.
Sounds like you got a little bit of cush.
Yeah, well, you get to a certain point where it's just a little easier to.
Well, you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah. But yeah, I still like to get out there and hustle. I can't sit at home. I have a lot of nervous energy. I have a lot of OCD. If this was on video, I was hitting it, moving all my hands and all that stuff. So getting out is really what I like to do the best.
Plus, you got kids at home, and who needs to be around?
So
That's right.
when you were working like back in the 90s, was your pager blowing up?
Luckily, when in the 90s, I was 18. So
okay.
that would have happened because now I'm the old guy. I tell stories to these young. Back in the day, yeah, but that used to be a joke with my old boss and be like, "Get a roll of quarters, kid," because that's how he would. know how lucky you are.
That was phone booklet.
Yeah, here's your lead. Here's your lead.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
You needed a map to find the place.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now,
A Thomas guide.
yeah, now I'm that guy. Like, they complain about me getting more of an allocation to something. I'm like, when you were diapers, I was making this a brand. That's why I get more, But yeah, it's kind of fun that way.
And what is in those little suitcases? Are they made are there specific bags that are made for hauling liquor around?
Of course. Okay. A good rep's always holding. That's what I always say.
So
Basically a legal drug dealer, so you got to be holding your goods.
So is it just like a Samsonite with wheels, or is it a special little liquor bag?
They make them special for what you're rolling. They even have them for traveling, for if you're like to go to Napa and you want to take a case of expensive wine home. They build suitcases specifically for your high-end shit. It's pretty cool.
Cushions, a little cold ice things like
The whole 9 yards.
Really?
Now, I notice you use and I guess most reps do now, that thing where the needle goes into the cork.
The Corvette.
Yeah.
Corbin, yeah.
Yeah.
That must have been a really good invention for...
I have a love-hate relationship with them. I love them in the summer, but when you're really busy and when you need them the most, you usually end up running out of gas or something. You're like, screw it. You open it anyways. But yeah, they're really handy, especially for really expensive wines.
Yeah.
Because on a day with expensive stuff, maybe you only get the 4 or 5 people, and then what are you gonna do? Take it home and drink it, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
Explain to our listeners what she's talking about.
Yeah, a Corbin's a cool system. It's charged with a cartridge of air. It has a needle, and it only really works on real corks. Don't ever try a Corbin on a synthetic cork, because on a real cork, you push the needle through, and the needle has a hole through it, and it has a place for the wine to come out. And it charges it, and it sucks in. Once it charges it enough there, it sucks liquid out and pours it through the spout into a glass. But only a real cork will reseal itself. See, a fake cork won't, and then you just have a hole. And then the next time you go in and you try it again, if you miss the hole, that's what she said, then you're gonna have it squirting all over the place, right? Yeah. So
It's like drawing blood when they swap out the next tube and it just air doesn't hit it.
Yeah. So basically, and then it leaves because the death of wine is oxygen or light essentially. So then it just leaves a layer of that gas. And I pulled out a bottle the other day that I forgot about 3 months ago in the back of my cabinet, and it was still fine. So they're pretty slick in that regard too. So you can make a bottle last like a month if you need to. For me, I'm very concentrated, but if you can imagine, like you're talking about a rep that might have to go to LA all the way back, and like how many accounts can you go to in one day? So you could do one bottle in a week and hit, little areas at a time. Right. For me, I could get to a lot of it. I could just roll El Paseo and walk it and hit a lot of accounts.
That was such a good explanation. We're going to send this to Corbin, and they're going to
Give them as a sponsor.
Absolutely.
And then let me ask you one more question, and we're going to wrap it up, is how do you pick up your wine to then bring to the restaurants and everyone, to Gourmand and all that?
Like, basically, do we have to hit your house to get some?
Like, do they send it to you, or do you pick it up? And how does that work?
The samples.
Yeah. I have this is kind of fun. I don't know how it works for everybody, but I have my own account. So there's a Scott Halterlein account, guys. And I just go in there and sample whatever I might need for the week, the month, the day. And it comes out on a truck. And I just meet the driver, and I'll meet him tomorrow morning. I just pull 20 bottles of things I needed, grab it off the truck.
That reminds me, I shot a bunch of samples.
In a roll. You got those samples from Mark, right? Yeah. Did you ask me for that? From last week, you needed a bottle or Mark. Yeah, I'll pull it for you.
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, cool. Yeah.
So they ship it to you.
Yeah, they just send it to me, and the company works out. I mean, I have a budget, right? I don't like pull it for a Super Bowl party,
right?
And then they split the cost. I think sometimes with wineries, sometimes it's 100% on us, 100% on them. A lot of times I think it's 50-50. But yeah, it works out pretty good. Those are the tools of my trade, right? A plumber has a bag of tools with wrenches. Mine's a bag of booze. It's kind of fun.
Very good. That is kind of fun. I want to get into that job, but my job's pretty fun too.
Yes, I'm having a great time with you guys.
Yes.
Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us.
Of course.
And chatting it up and cutting up with us.
We've always walked into places and see, from medical, I've seen someone in the lobby waiting for the doctor to show them rubber gloves or something, and then in restaurants, I always see someone there with their little bag of wine and liquor, and I've always, and there you are, just hustling it. So awesome.
It's a great job. Somebody's got to do it.
A lot of fun.
Yeah, a lot of fun.
Well, thank you so much. And hey, you need a new career.
It's a very, it's funny. If you're in food and hospitality and you take those courses in college, they don't talk about this job.
No.
They talk about being a chef or working the front of the house. But you could work for a brand. You could be a great supplier for amazing wineries, or you could work for a distribution company. You could start your own company. I don't know why they forget to tell people that this is real.
I hear you.
It's the weirdest thing.
And it's probably the most important key to making everything work.
The middleman.
There's a van out here that drives around every hair supply place, and they sell scissors out of it, razors, and they sharpen scissors. And it's like, that's a niche, man.
Right.
This person goes from hairdresser to hairdresser to hairdresser, and they have blow dryers and
Going from wine bar to wine bar to restaurant to wine bar sounds a lot better to me.
yes, it does. Less hairy. I get it. Less hairy. All right.
Well, thanks so much, and we will see you next time.
Yep.
Inside the bunghole.
See you later.
Adios.
Adios.
If you want to know more about Inside the Bunghole, join us on all our social media platforms. You can get a revisit and view all the latest posts, giveaways, and information on this podcast. Simply search Inside the Bunghole on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. Like, share, and subscribe. Leave a comment. We would love to hear from you. Or you can email us at insidethebunghole@gmail.com. Thanks for tuning in, and visit our website at insidethebunghole.buzzsprout.com, where you can always find our latest podcast and past episodes. Cheers!